What's going on, Port fans? Welcome back to another video on my channel. Today we're going to be previewing Port Adelaide's round 2 clash against Carlton, which is happening this Saturday afternoon at the Adelaide Oval, 4:40 PM. A big game after a sensational win against Melbourne. It's time to pack it up for Port and Carlton. They're in some fine form at the moment with their impressive performance against Richmond. They didn't get the chocolates, but they certainly showed some positive signs for their 2019 season. So let's have a look at this game and see what it's going to bring this weekend.
Robbie Gray comes up to attacking 50, somehow through traffic, a little bit of dancing with the stars, ran around Kate Simpson and gold.
It's good to be back at the Adelaide Oval for 2019 for the first time. Expecting a big crowd, especially since it is Port Adelaide's members recognition round, and they'll be handing out 25,000 flags to all fans that are walking into the ground on the weekend. So that means every goal that is scored, there's going to be a lot of flags waving about for sure. So in terms of that, that's a special occasion for us as fans, rocking up to the game, and for the club celebrating our members, and I think it's 55,000 that we should have at the moment. A little bit down, but certainly with the impressive win against Melbourne, that might even rise a bit more, and hopefully we hit the 60k mark for the 3rd or 4th year in a row. We've had it quite a few times, but nonetheless, looking at Carlton first, a bit of Oppo watch to have a look for this weekend, as I said in the intro, an impressive win against Richmond with a lot of the youngsters really performing really well. And I think at the same time now, they've brought in a couple of recruits. They've got McGovern there and an established Charlie Curnow. There's definitely a lot of positives for their team at the moment. And if you're a Carlton fan, you're a little bit excited, especially with a leader like Patrick Cripps, and you've got Mark Murphy still running about as well. There's a little bit of a mixture there that you reckon, Carlton can build on this here at the moment. And I don't think there'll be as much of a pushover this year as people are expecting. I've got them running in 16th for the year, but that could come with 5 or 6 wins. And I reckon against teams like Gold Coast and St Kilda, even like a couple of other teams like the Bulldogs, maybe at Marvel Stadium, they could really show a couple of teams up. And that's exactly what Port Adelaide have got to look out for this weekend. Is those young players. Like Gibbons was sensational. Sam Walsh, obviously a #1 draft pick, was very impressive. And I think now that chemistry that Carlton have got in their midfield, they're quite a damaging young forward line as well. So it's going to be an interesting game for sure, especially at the Adelaide Oval. It's going to be a different dimension to the MCG, but it's certainly with a home crowd advantage. I think Port Adelaide might be a bit too strong. But in saying that, Carlton would want to back that performance up from last week. And with an 8-day break, they're coming in from a Thursday into a Saturday. The youngsters are going to feel refreshed. They're going to feel like they're ready to go again. They're not going to feel tired. So this game could be a very interesting one, especially for the fans. So I don't think we're going to go in expecting to win, and I think that's exactly what Port Adelaide are going to have to do. They're going to expect to perform well. They're going to want to perform well. They can't go in there expecting for the job to be done like we have in the past, especially last year. We came off a great win against Melbourne at home, and then we travelled to the G where it took us to the last quarter to play any half-decent footy. So I think this weekend, from the get-go, Port Adelaide have to go full throttle and really perform at their best just to keep Carlton at bay for the rest of the game. Because as we saw, Carlton started very slowly last week and gradually worked their way back into the game. And eventually, at one stage, you almost felt like they could come back and win this game. They were 2-3 goals down at the closest at one stage, but you just felt like they were on top and they were going to come in to that last quarter and really run this one out. And unfortunately, they didn't. But a second week in, a little bit fresher, and the cobwebs are certainly out. Carlton could do the job this week against Port. I don't want to say that because, as you can tell, massive Port fan. But I mean, if you look at the record for Carlton, it's not the greatest at the Adelaide Oval. There was a 90-point loss in 2017. 2014, they lost by 100 points, and I think they just have not won at the Adelaide Oval. Even playing the Crows, they basically die in the arse. That's the best way to describe it. And I hope for the fans' sake they get a good game and not a pumping. I would very much love a pumping. That's a very easy win for Port, and with the weeks coming up, it'd be nice to have a bit of percentage behind our back and start building on a pretty good base for a season. But, you know, in saying that, you don't really want, you know, the likes of Cripps and Curnow to get away from you because they will damage you. And with the youngsters rising like Sam Walsh, Carlton will be a tough task this week for sure. Things to watch this weekend at the game. Well, quite a few interesting things that have come up between these two teams. So in the last 8 meetings between the clubs, no team has won more than twice in a row. Port Adelaide have obviously won the last 2 against Carlton. Before that, Carlton won 2 in a row. And, you know, basically, if you base that stat for this weekend, Carlton are going to win. And that is backed up with, obviously, Justin Westhoff playing his 250th game this weekend. A fantastic career. And I'll have something, have a video out for him tomorrow. But he's not won a milestone game. Debut, 50th, 100th, 150th, 200th game. He's not won any of them. So that stat of Port not winning more than 2 in a row, or Carlton not winning more than 2 in a row between the clubs, and Westhoff not winning a milestone game, that basically spells out Carlton's going to win this game, which let's hope not, because that will be a big... I think the fans might get quite angry at that one. But in saying that, you know, look at Port Adelaide and look the way they played last week. The young kids were just phenomenal. Rosie, Dersma, Butters, Drew, even the imports from Burton and Lysette, they just performed very well. And you can't look past even those 6 itself. You look at them, they're very established already now. It's just electrifying to watch. The energy, the fans thrive off their energy. The teammates thrive off their energy. You could see players like Westhoff, Boak, Gray. They just thrived off of that. And the smiles on their faces after the game, even during the game, it's just... You just enjoy watching that type of stuff. And it's a feel-good story for Port Adelaide at the moment. And if they can play the way they did last weekend, simply they'll win this game. And they'll win it pretty well. There's no more to that. It's a pretty... You know, you just play Port Adelaide. That's all you have to do. And you'll win that. You'll win this easy. That's my prediction. I feel like I'm quietly confident. A lot of people said, "Why are you confident? This is Carlton. It's round 2. Why are you so confident? Don't get too carried away. Don't jinx us." Blah 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 blah. I'm just saying that essentially, if Port Adelaide used the same formula they did last week against Melbourne, the toughness, the hardness at the footy, and the quick play and transition they used from the back half to the forward half, Port Adelaide will simply win this game. And at home, in front of 40-odd thousand people, I can't see Carlton winning. And if they do, big credit to them. But for me, Port Adelaide, simple as that. And obviously I'm being a bit biased. But in saying that, you know, at the end of the day, Richmond, how'd they beat Carlton? They beat them off by running them off their feet in the last quarter. They just continually attack the ball. And that's all you got to do. Simple formula to win the game. Selection, I personally believe, this is another thought of mine, I personally believe that Port Adelaide should go into this unchanged. I know Ollie Wines is probably waiting in the mirrors, ready to go, ready to get into this team to captain his side alongside Tom Jonas. But I personally feel like going in unchanged, give the kids another go. There's no need to change the team up. I know that if he's ready, get him in. But in saying that, the team performed well. You got to carry that form into a game. And if there's a little slight stuff up, bring in Ollie Wines for next week against Brisbane. Been saying that, there's a couple of arguments saying that Carlton have a lesser tough midfield, which if we bring Ollie in, it'd be a good, decent little, not a warm-up, but a little feel around. He can get used to the bodies against opposition clubs instead of his internal teammates, which is fair enough. I actually agree with that opinion. So with going up to Brisbane, it'd be a little bit tougher to get yourself into the game, whereas Carlton, he could probably have a little bit of an easier run getting the footy. But in saying that, I back the kids in. I'd go in unchanged for this week. To sum up all that and give you a prediction, all I'm saying is Port Adelaide just can't take Carlton lightly. We've got to use the same mentality as we went into last week's game into this week's game. Just give a bit of roughness to it. Be a bit tough around the footy. A little bit arrogant as well if you want. I mean, that's just going to back your teammates in, and the kids are showing very good signs. So my prediction for this week is for Port Adelaide to beat Carlton at home by 42 points. A bigger margin than what I think most would be giving. I think a 5-goal margin would be pretty respectable, pretty decent. Anything under that, that's going to be a little bit nerve-wracking going into the last quarter. But the way the game will pan out, I think it'll be pretty tight the whole way through, and then just Port Adelaide will just continually keep running, and they'll sweep Carlton off their feet a bit. So let me know in the comments below what you think will happen this week and who will win this weekend and by how much. Thank you so much for watching, Port fans. This has been another preview. Tomorrow I'll have the Justin Westhoff 250th game favourite moments of mine, so make sure you tune in for that. Make sure you subscribe for plenty more Port Adelaide content. I can't believe the support that's come from last week, and especially with the review and the vlog. It's been sensational from the Melbourne game. So thank you so much for all the support. And yeah, thank you very much for watching once again. My name is Anthony, and as always, Carl ThePear.